Hello, my name is Janelle Hemphill, and this is for Speech and Communications 151 with Professor Marlowe. So following my outline, I will begin by briefly going over what a GMO is, and then proceed on to the pros and cons that are argued by people today. So for the past 5 years, I've been extremely interested in GMOs. Being born and raised in LA, I had never really learned about GMOs. And it seems like the second I moved to Kauai, I learned a lot about them. So in September of 2005, when I moved to Kauai, that's when I learned the good and the bad and the ugly about this crazy science. So GMO is a genetically modified organism. So in long scientific terms, it's an organism whose genetic material has been altered by using genetic engineering techniques. So scientists will take the DNA from different sources, and when they're all combined, it creates a new gene. So say that you go to the grocery store and you buy seedless watermelon or you buy seedless grapes. Both of those are genetically modified to grow without seeds. If you were to buy an all-natural organic watermelon, it's going to have seeds. So small-scale experimental plantings of genetically modified plants began in Canada and the US in the early 1980s. And since then, it's only been growing. The larger scale stuff started getting approved mid-1990s. And then nowadays, farmers are really adapting to the genetically modified for reasons that I'll explain later in the speech. So there's several different reasons why scientists genetically modify genes. They are used in biological and medical research, agriculture, the production of pharmaceutical drugs and experimental medicines. But today I'm going to touch on one area of the GMO productions, and that's the GMOs in Hawaii's agriculture. So throughout the short 5 years that my interest has been struck by this science, I have heard arguments from both parties on GMOs. Because this is an informative speech, I can't really share my opinion, which I think will be challenging, but I will definitely try to share both sides of the argument. So it is said that gene modification started back in the 1800s, when people started fermenting wine. To some people, GMOs are nothing but a positive addition to mankind, and wow, mankind is wonderful, look what they're doing. And here are some reasons why. So it could help develop a sustainable agriculture in our world by minimizing use of natural resources and reducing environmental impacts. So for our growing population, where are we going to grow all this food? We keep building on the land that we're growing. So with GMOs, it makes it crops grow faster. Crops don't die from pests and stuff. So we have more of an outcome when we grow crops. They ripen faster. There's just all these things that they've modified to make it easier for farmers to grow crops. A genetically modified gene offers increased biological resistance to pests and disease, thereby reducing the need for chemical pesticides and decreasing the risk of crop failure. So again, this is going to help by reducing the risk of crop failure, more of an outcome, more money. It just keeps going down the line. So basically, instead of them spraying pesticides on the plants while they're growing, they're genetically modifying to put something in that seed so that the pests don't eat it. So we're eating that. So it improves plants' adaptability to harsh growing conditions such as drought, not very rich soils, and the temperature extremities, like if it's freezing or if it's super, super hot, the plant will still grow. It also brings desirable functional characteristics such as faster ripening, like I had said. increased starch content, larger shelf life, better flavor and color, and desirable nutritional characteristics such as altered protein or fat content. So nothing natural. Again, sustainable agriculture for our growing population. It doesn't take long for crops to grow, and the outcome is better with less spoiled fruits and vegetables. So Hawaii is more experimental than any other state in the nation. So the field trials of genetic engineering are huge in Hawaii, whereas most other states don't support it. So it is home to modified corn, sugarcane, coffee, papayas, tobacco, rice, and many others. Even though people argue the positives about modifying these genes, I feel there are many more negative arguments to modified food. So here's some concerns about GMOs. There's no long-term studies to prove that these modified genes do not harm humans. Instead, they were just put on the shelf for human consumption. There's a thing called horizontal gene transfer, which in this case, the soil in Hawaii will be spoiled forever. In horizontal gene transfer, it is said once a genetically modified crop has grown in that soil, those genes have moved into the soil, preventing any other organic crop to not be organic, but instead contain these altered genes. In one case, an Australian researcher reported that in November of 2005, after 10 years spent developing a genetically engineered pea, they had to abandon the project after they found out that the altered peas caused lung inflammation and other adverse effects in mice. The argument, if it happens to mice, why wouldn't it happen to humans? So I definitely think that I agree with both sides of the argument. It's definitely going to help all of the undernourished people that there are in the world with more crop production. It's definitely going to help farmers. But again, I don't think there's enough studies for them to mass produce foods that are genetically modified. So I do agree with both sides. I really think that they need to continue doing research and stuff, because if it doesn't harm humans, it's going to be great. It's going to be great for mankind and for the future. So thank you.